right, everyone, if we could have you sit down, we're going to get started. We still are just waiting for a couple others, so please excuse the interruption if a couple more people flit in over the next couple minutes. My name's Kelsey Curry, and I'm the new kid around here, so I got nominated to do the introductions, which is pretty great. But just a shout out to the team before we get started. So we've got Marley, Dave, Lasagna back there, who without them, this would certainly have not been possible. And the strategic guidance and oversight of our Supreme Annette Markfort, who I know you all probably have met. So just a special thanks to all of you for everything that you've done to make today happen. You're here for the trampoline pitch workshop, so I'm happy today to introduce Anna Foat. Anna's here today to teach us the art of the pitch. And Anna's tagline is, "I get complicated stuff done," which is something that I think all of us could learn from. Anna has experience driving sales in competitive markets, building partner relationships, and working with various people to achieve their goals, including all of you. Anna has worked with RIM, IBM, Communitech, the Future Design School in Toronto, and is currently working at Sun Life. She's a master seller, a mentor, and one who chooses to color outside of the lines. Today, Anna is going to help us cultivate our creativity as she leads us through her hour-and-a-half workshop to perfect our 60-second pitches. Please join me in welcoming Anna Foat.
Thank you. What a fabulous, fabulous introduction. Thank you so much. Welcome, everyone. How are you? You're here, you're entrepreneurial, you want to win some money, so I like you already. I'll tell you a little bit about myself, and then I want to kind of go around the room and understand who you are, what your business is, and kind of where you're looking to go. My style is super informal. You can raise your hand, stop me anytime if I say anything that's cuckoo crazy, ask me questions, and anything you want to know, I'm totally an open book. So my kind of story is I graduated from university with an English degree, was very definitely going to go to law school. Met a boy that I'm still married to, so I feel like that was not a bad decision. Did not go to law school. Parents were horrified that I'd be a barista for the rest of my living days, and got me a job at an insurance company because it was very safe. And I did that job for a few years. I'm very grateful for it because it gave me tons of experience that I needed. Business acumen, like how the office works, politics, all that kind of stuff. But really limiting in terms of creativity and really limiting in terms of having freedom to kind of experiment and do things. So in 1999, I know I'm 100 years old, you guys probably weren't born yet or you were babies. In 1999, I saw all these ads for Research in Motion, as it was known then. And I thought, that's interesting. I'm just going to keep applying. Applied. Finally, they hired me. And they said, okay, I thought that I'd be a professional writer because I had this English degree. And I kept applying for all these writing jobs. And they said, yeah, you are not qualified to be a writer because you're not an engineer. And I was like, huh, that's why your manuals read the way they do. Got it. But we'd love for you to be a salesperson for us. And so I said, okay, I could do that. And did my 2 weeks training. And at the end of the 2 weeks training, they said, you're really smart. You're going to be in tech support. And I was like, no. I don't know anything technical whatsoever. That's not what I signed up for, and I just quit a job that paid me more money with a pension to do this job that I'm going to get fired from when you realize that I'm incompetent, because I'm not qualified to do this job. They're like, you'll be fine. And so I ended up having to learn. I bought MCSE textbooks. Everyone I worked with at the time were super smart. They were all programmers. They saw the path to get in at the ground floor of a company that was going to change the world, and I literally was trying to figure out how to put footnotes in my essays. So they were writing code, and I was just desperately trying to keep up and keep my head above water. So you can always do something that you think you can't do. Kind of fast forward, I did that for a little while. It was my secret power in my career, later in my career, because people said, you're like this secret geek. I'm like, I know. I like nerdy tech stuff. And I never kind of lost that. So I spent lots of time there. I ended up getting back into sales and doing corporate development, so doing deals with Visa, MasterCard, Facebook, LinkedIn, with BlackBerry. I left in 2011 when Rome was burning and went to IBM. I thought that would be a good idea. I learned an enormous amount. I ran worldwide marketing for their mobile products, but I hated the culture. It was slow. It was very hierarchical. You had to ask permission to do anything. I got in trouble all the time for making the company money. I'd close deals, and then I'd get in trouble for not following the process. Like, but we got the deal, though. We did the biggest deal in Canada for the quarter. They're like, right, but you should have checked this box. I'm like, oh, I can't be here So I left and I started my own consultancy. And I started working with startups that were looking to scale, because it occurred to me that the one thing I knew really well was how companies get big fast. When I joined RIM, there was 200 of us. When I left, there was 18,000 of us. So I certainly saw a company that was massively scaling. And I saw a lot of startups that had amazing ideas and amazing founders, but didn't quite know what that roadmap was around how they get from this idea to a company, and how they get from a company to a business, and a business to a scaling business. And I thought, I actually know that. That's something I know for sure. So I did that for a couple years, and then Communitech called and said, can you come be our executive in residence for our Fierce Female Founders program? It's a big mouthful. And be the mentor, kind of like David is to you guys. And I said, I would love to do that. It would be my great honor. Fast forward to today, in a weird twist of fate, a colleague that I've known professionally for many, many years called me up about a year and a half ago and said, I just got this promotion. I'm now the Senior Vice President of Digital Transformation for Sun Life International. I was like, wow, that's a pretty impressive title. He said, would you come work for me? I was like, maybe. Tell me about what it is you're trying to do. And the more he told me, the more I thought, yeah, I'll sign up for that. That sounds like a massive problem and something that I'd love. So now I kind of stir the pot, push people, poke people, ask them questions, take them on field trips, which in a very conservative company full of actuaries is very radical. It's like, let's go talk to a startup. You guys have this problem. This startup has actually solved for it. So you may want to buy the startup, you may want to partner with the startup, or you may want to understand how they thought about the problem, because most problems have been solved somewhere in some capacity by someone at one time in history. So I bring all these actuaries down the road in Toronto, and they sit down, and they kind of get their minds blown by going, wow, that's a way to do it that we had not really ever considered. Right. So I always have my eye on you guys in terms of the passion, the hustle, and the ability to want to make something happen. I spend my days trying to enthuse people, get them excited about change and the fact that tomorrow can be better. But you guys all have that in spades, because you have this idea and you're here and you're trying to move your idea forward. So as long as you kind of commit to your idea with all your effort, and you focus all your energy on scaling, there's lots of corporates that are kind of sitting back on their laurels going, yeah, we're good, we're good. So if it's a race and you guys are running as hard as you can, you're probably going to outrun the big corporate guys. We just haven't. There's a lot of people that I work with that haven't gotten that memo quite yet, but I see it, and I see it over and over and over again. So that's kind of me and who I am. I'm really excited to give this presentation. It's super fun for me to do. It's very one-on-one, so I'll give you some work assignments. We can kind of share back a little bit. And what I hope to do by the end of today is give you guys some tools to build a really good and effective pitch to pitch your company so that you can win. And I think I'm going to be able to spy on your efforts next week when you actually do this in real life. So enough about me. I want to kind of go around the room and understand kind of who you are, what you're studying, what your business is, and kind of one sentence on where you're at. Sorry, I'm going to pick on you because you're right in front of me. Sure.
95% to be exact.
Okay.
Because 5% is not online.
Okay.
And gather one spot. And our focus is the customer service, like real customer service for who apply for a job.
I love it. What gave you that idea?
Sorry?
What prompted that idea?
Because I'm looking for a job.
There you go. Mother is necessity is the mother of invention.
Yeah.
I love it. So you're going to solve for this. You're going to make yourself a job by solving the problem that you have.
Yeah, maybe because now we have a lot of websites with a sort of jobs. But
Sure.
we don't have a website to concentrate like a bunch of jobs.
Sure.
We need to find around the internet is quite annoying. Doing a lot of logins and profiles, and you need to change profiles. And we try to keep it simple. 3 steps.
I love it.
That's that.
I love it. Well, welcome. You want me to pass the mic? Okay. Oh. Okay. So you get to pick the order now.
Is there anybody else right now?
Just around, however you want to do it. I kind of want to know who's who in the zoo.
I wasn't ready to talk right away.
That's okay.
Okay, I'm on the mic now. Hi, my name's Liberty. I'm basically, me and my friend Madeline here, starting up a video production company. Basically, we are looking to do marketing, advertising, as well as independent projects like short films, stuff like that. Basically, the way at least the way I see it is, I find marketing is so constant in the world. You see ads every day, and 80% of them are boring. But there's that 20% that is really good. And I like to focus on making really quality content, but through advertising. You can take somebody's product or something and with their product to tell a story, create awesome visuals, make people feel something.
Sure.
And that's basically what we're hoping to accomplish.
That's fantastic. Welcome.
I'm Madeline. I'm kind of, I guess, the mastermind behind our entire company. I do all the paperwork, I research all the tax stuff, all the grants we would need for personal projects, stuff like that. I contact the people we want to work with, stuff like that, and just we're really looking forward to being able to do what we want in our lives with this company.
Awesome. Well, it's great to have you here.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Hi, I'm Kat Fazio. I'm from Sarnia. I was previously at Western for criminology because I also wanted to do law. Then I worked in a law office and realized no. And I want to start up a cafe.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just in the startup phase though. I haven't really done much.
That's okay.
Yeah, and
That's
I'm in
the
the
hard part.
entrepreneurship program right now.
Good for you. Well,
Yeah,
welcome.
Thank you.
My name's Liam. I just graduated music industry arts at Fanshawe, and now I'm in audio post-production. And I'm starting a business called Sustainable Sound, and it's music recording and engineering, but business, but also a recording studio at the moment. And
Cool.
so we're just starting to take on clients in the studio, and the goal is to get to the point where I don't need to have a studio, so I can do more freelance stuff with myself as an engineer. And then
Cool.
working particularly with like the folk and the singer-songwriter genre, so people who play organic instruments, I like to say, right, and that sort of thing.
I love it. Well,
Thanks.
welcome.
Hi, my name's Aaron. I'm in the digital marketing degree program here. I have an idea for an app. It'll help match roommates for housing around colleges and universities, and then match those roommates with landlords, because right now it's basically just Kijiji and a few other places. So I'm going to try to create a more fulfilled solution for the housing for students.
That's
to
great.
match them and then find them places that are a little bit better.
That's perfect. Well, no one wants a crappy apartment and no one wants a crappy roommate.
Hi, I'm Arthur Mayar. My idea is home aquaponics. The idea is essentially to grow your own food, both vegetables and protein, in a unit that you can fit in your house and essentially save a lot of money. Right now I'm in the sort of pre-development phase, looking to build a prototype and actually start getting on the road with this thing.
Awesome. Welcome.
Hi everybody, my name's Alex. I'm studying marketing management here at Fanshawe. My business is called Muralography, and essentially I'm providing mural services, so large scale or small scale painting services, as well as video services to small to medium sized businesses in London and the surrounding area that have a need for that.
I love it. You're going to make our world more beautiful.
Hey, my name is Jake. I'm starting an event consultancy firm. I'm in special events planning right now and more or less just trying to build my portfolio to get to a certain point where I can move to a SaaS model and eventually create a company.
Good for you.
Hello everyone, my name is Nico. I'm in the International Business Management program here at Fanshawe. For the past few years I've been in the soccer industry in different roles as coach, referee, and also as an assistant manager at a soccer store. That has led me to create a soccer agency out of London, Ontario, in order to promote and help all the overlooked talent that we have here in London to hopefully get them professional opportunities either overseas or here within the Canadian Premier League.
That's great. What a cool idea.
Hi, I'm Laura Shelby. This is like the first time I've ever said any of this like out loud, really. But so it's kind
You're
of
amongst friends.
It's like a bunch of jumble of thoughts, really. But I've been working in interior design for the past 12 years or so. I've had some success, but I genuinely don't enjoy it as much as I thought I was going to. It I thought it was my passion, but the deeper I get into it, the more I can't handle helping people buy stuff. There's too much stuff. We all have too much stuff, and so I'm segueing this whole interior design thing into stuff management, geared towards like our aging population who have houses full of stuff because they've lived there for 50 years. So helping them either liquidate their assets, organizational stuff, like bereavement and downsizing, moving into smaller units and all that sort of stuff. So how it's all going to come together, I haven't quite articulated it yet, but that I'm seeing a need, and that is really where my passion is helping people get rid of their stuff or organizing the stuff that they do have and enjoying the stuff that they love.
I love it. Marie Kondo, you are on trend.
Yeah.
Hey everyone, I'm Greg. I did 4 years of digital marketing here at Fanshawe. My partner Justin and I run a social media marketing agency. We recently finished our website, got some business cards, got our logo done. Took us a while, but we picked our direction. We're going to work with real estate agents and just help them build their online presence, get active on social media. That's pretty much it. Anything I missed?
That's awesome.
I'm Justin, like he said, just started this about a year ago. Was mostly just focused around general business solutions back then, but we've tailored it back, especially since he's come on board. We started with just focusing regularly on just the digital marketing, but now we've taken the approach of just going more specific with the social media aspect of things, so leveraging social media and content marketing to really help these existing businesses grow from where they're at and get that digital rapport built up. So that's about it right now. We're just in the phase of kind of getting clients on board at this point, because all we've done in the past have been the startup packages. So everything else, nothing month to month, which is what we're working towards getting into at this point.
Recurring revenue is a lovely, lovely thing.
Exactly.
It allows you to sleep
And
at night peacefully.
Yeah, you got it. You got it.
Okay.
Hello, my name is Richard, and I'm currently taking the general business program at Fanshawe. And my business idea is to create a translation services, and I think that since Canada is a multicultural country and this society has become more and more diverse, I believe the translation and language service can have a bright future in the later. And so far, I like my program, and Fanshawe is really a helpful place for everyone. Yeah. Thank you.
Good. We're glad you're here. That sounds like a cool idea.
I'm Tia. My business idea is I want to open a fashion store under my fashion brand name. Maybe probably in London or back in my country, Vietnam.
Wonderful. Cool.
Hi, my name is Gabrielle. I'm in the entrepreneurship program, and I hope to eventually start my own mobile dog grooming and pet photography business.
I'll be a client. Okay.
My name is Josie, and I'm also in the entrepreneurship program. I would like to open a health food store with an online delivery service.
Smart. Love it. Welcome.
Hi everyone, my name is Nicole Snoblin. I'm a Fanshawe College fashion design graduate. I am the owner and designer of Evelyn by Nicole Snoblin, which is a local clothing line targeted towards women, and it's also a social enterprise where I give back to children in the hospital.
Awesome. Okay, is that everyone? Yeah.
Hello everyone, my name is Marley. I'm actually also a Fanshawe grad, and I do work at Leap Junction, but on the side / full-time, I have my own business. I design logos and websites for small businesses in London, mostly Toronto, and then also I have international clients.
That's great.
Hi everybody, I'm David. I am the Entrepreneurial Education Coordinator here at Leap Junction, but also the owner or co-owner of Border Pass Wakeboard Parks. Company is in Sarnia, Hamilton, and Port Colborne. We've been around since 2010, and we provide outdoor cable wakeboarding services and paddleboarding services, as well as outdoor and indoor water sports events.
Cool. Everyone has a side hustle. I love it.
Yes. Is that
And sorry, we have.
everybody?
Yep.
My name is Micah. I am a business marketing student. Well, it was an interesting idea, so I wanted to learn more.
Sure.
Sorry.
Okay, no problem. Well, welcome. Okay, so I always start with this, learn the rules like a pro so you can break them like an artist. Very famous quote. I will kind of teach you the thing that if you went onto Coursera or anywhere online that they'd say, here's how you do a pitch. Those are the rules, and those rules are important, and we'll spend the first half of this presentation talking about the rules, and then the second half of the presentation talking about, now that you have the structure and now that you know some of the rules, how do you make it more interesting? How do you break a few of them so it doesn't sound like, hi, I'm Anna Foat, I have this, this Dragon's Den pitch that we've all heard like a million times that you want to fall asleep at. Usually those ones are good in the sense that they hit all the right marks, but they're boring because you don't care. Sales is all about this emotional connection that you have with people to convince them to do something. So just the facts are generally not enough, but we'll spend some time going through it. So welcome. First we'll talk about the ugly, then we'll talk about the good. We'll do a little practice round. We'll create a story, and that's where we're going to get a little more interesting, and then we'll do a little bit of a practice pitch. So don't worry, I'm going to tell you all the bad things people do first. So if in fact you have any of those things in your pitch, you won't embarrass yourself because you'll know. So the ugly. Let's talk about all the things that you really shouldn't do, ever, 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 ever. So the first one is, we are unique. I spend a lot of time, even in my current job, getting pitched. So I listen to pitches all the time. I've coached people on their pitches. People love to say, I got this idea and it's super, super unique. You should care because no one's ever done it before. And what I would say to you is, generally you're almost always wrong. Somewhere in the world has done some version of the thing you're doing. And even if it's true that this is like the very first time that this has ever been attempted in the way that you're doing it, I don't care, right? I don't care. So we are unique is really not a selling proposition. I think entrepreneurs like it and keep using it because they're passionate and it's their baby and it's very unique to them and that is really important to them, but it's not about you. It's just about the person that you're pitching to. So they're not going to care nearly as much that you think you're unique than you think it's important. We are the Airbnb, Uber, WordPress of XYZ industry. And I know why people do this. They do it because it's like a mental shortcut. I have two issues with this. First, it's overused. So people do it all the time. So it's not very original, unique, and people kind of roll their eyes. It doesn't say anything about your company. So you're kind of doing like an unpaid service announcement for Uber. We're the Uber of pet sitting. We're the Uber of, like I've heard it a million times, right? So great props to Uber. You're doing free advertising for them. But I don't really know what it is you do. And sometimes I find it can come off as a little like getting over your skis, maybe being a little too big. I had this idea last week and we're going to be the Uber of whatever. Maybe you want to have a little humility. Uber spent years and years to get where they are. So I just think this one can backfire on you a number of different ways. And there's generally a better way to make the analogy that you're trying to make. People do this because they want a quick and dirty way to short circuit what it is their company does. We've been working on this for 4 years, and it's awesome. Right? Probably heard people say this. I love being awesome because being awesome is awesome. Again, it kind of falls into the category of, I think I'm really unique. The fact that you've been working on it for a really long time, maybe I think they should have gotten a lot farther ahead. They've been on this for 4 years, and this is it. Or, it's great that you're enthusiastic, but again, it doesn't tell me anything about your business. And I don't know you yet. We're going to change the world, search, mobile, blogging, etc. We're going to change the whole world with this company. Again, it's just, it lacks a lot of humility. And so, it makes people look like they don't really know. And I know people use it to say, I have all this confidence and what I'm trying to do is really important. But generally people hear it the opposite way that it feels like when you're saying it. Numerous people have said they like it, right? My aunt loves it. A very fancy, I get this a lot in pitches. Oh, you know, Jim Balsillie really likes it. That's great. That the former CEO of RIM thinks your idea is good. I don't care. So, you know, my aunt likes it. It's not an argument. It doesn't say anything about your product. And the biggest thing that people forget when you're pitching is when you pitch your idea, it is a massive opportunity for feedback, constructive feedback. Because when you're pitching, if someone goes, well, I don't understand, well, why didn't you do this? Well, I would think of it this way. You don't have to take all that feedback, but it's worthwhile to hear it. And the minute you say this, it kind of shuts down people's ability to give you constructive feedback. So even if they don't buy from you, but you get some amazing piece of insight or guidance, if you use this, you'll lose that insight. Okay, so that's all the bad. What about the good? What are the pieces of a pitch that are really, really important? How many people here have, I know you kind of said you definitely don't have a pitch set up yet, so this is going to be like heavy lifting for you a little bit. Are there people here like you guys at the back that have kind of been around for a while? Presumably you've spoken to people about this in some capacity.
Yeah, we have a general pitch, but it's all different.
Okay. Sure. Sure.
I usually felt like I did corporate sales for about 8 years, so very similar to like how you started, not to where you are now, obviously. I would say your hook, you have 30 seconds to, when you have that guy on the phone, you have 30 seconds to figure it out. So I usually do the hook and then not testimonials, but actual results.
Right. Show me, don't tell me. Yep, no, those are great points. So a lot of you, it sounds like, are going to be doing a little bit of heavy lifting to build it. So the first half of this, we'll talk about the important pieces. And then you're all sitting at tables this year. Last time I did this, everyone was like in comfy chairs, and then I made them work, and they were all kind of writing on their knees. This year we said, okay, let's put you somewhere with flat surface and pens and paper, because a lot of this is a component parts, right? So I'll give you the buckets that you need to start working through, and then I'll work around and start talking to you guys about it. And then we can start to reconstitute it. So you don't have to worry about the beginning, the middle, and the end. First step is just what needs to be part and what probably doesn't need to be part, and then we'll figure it out. So we're going to review minimum viable pitch components, and then we're going to take the MVP pitch, so like that minimum viable pitch, and turn it into something that is more like a story, so people care, so that there's a hook, so that people actually act. So part one, what do we need? First off, show some enthusiasm and make your pitch personal. So many people stand on stage and they go, hi, my name's Anna. I have this great idea that I want to bring to the world. It's, you know, this widget, and you're kind of sitting there going, okay, well, I don't really know anything about this person. I don't know why they decided to do this. You alluded to the fact that you've been all over the world and soccer's a passion, and now you're here in London. So because you know about places elsewhere where people are playing soccer, you can make some of those connections. Immediately, I'm like, oh, that's cool. Now I understand why you're interested in this. You know, I asked you about your role, and you said, well, because I have this problem. I'm like, okay, I understand why you're trying to solve for this. It's a good reason to try to solve for it. So don't forget to be enthusiastic and be a little personal. People are humans. We want to connect with people. So it can't be so robotic and so scientific in terms of a science fair project that you don't kind of read the room or share something personal. I tell you this story. The very first time I did this presentation, I did it with Tech Alliance for their pitch competition. And there was a guy that stood up in the class, and he said, okay, I'm going to do my pitch. And he stood up and he kind of went, I have this company that I'm trying to build, and it's for water quality, and it's going to allow people, and he did a good job of explaining kind of what the company did, the science behind the water testing, but it was really underwhelming. It was like, all this is like interesting, I guess, ish. And I said to him, why is this important? And then he goes, well, that's not, who cares? That doesn't matter. I said, well, I care. Why are you doing this? And he said, because I'm Indian, I go back to India, I have a young daughter. The last time I went back to India, I was worried about the quality of water. And I couldn't test it because there was no testing facilities. So I saw this as a way first for me to make sure of the safety of the water when my family and I were traveling, but I think there's a bigger market for it. And everyone in the class kind of went, oh, that's an amazing story. And I'm like, you should start with that. Like, start with, I was in India with my toddler daughter worried about her getting a waterborne illness. And everyone will be like, okay, I'm listening. Your daughter, I'm sure she's cute. Now I have a picture of this bubbly little girl traveling. I'm invested in the outcome right from the hop. And it was really funny because it took a lot to convince him to do, he was a very private kind of person and he just kind of wanted to stick to the facts. But when he edited his pitch and added that at the front, like everyone in the class just stood up and gave him a huge round of applause when he was done. And when he sat down, I'm like, how did that feel? He's like, it actually felt a lot better. Like it was way better. Like it was a way better pitch. So don't forget to put a few personal things in. Tell me about the problem you're solving clearly. Sometimes entrepreneurs forget this part because you've been obsessing about the problem you're trying to solve for probably a lot of time in your head. And so you kind of understand all the nuance around what the problem is, why the problem exists, who's impacted by the problem, all the possible solutions that could solve for that problem, the reason you picked the way that you want to solve for it. But I'm not in your head, and I don't know all that thinking. So don't forget to kind of succinctly explain why this is a problem. Don't assume that we understand the level and the reason that this is a problem in the same way that you guys do. Because I don't. I'm coming in cold. You stand on stage, you got 60 seconds, and I'm like, okay, I know nothing about you, the problem, or why it's important. So don't forget this. Show your solution if you can. If there's a screenshot, if there's a demonstration, if there's a way to articulate the thing that you do, there's a reason that expression, the picture is worth 1,000 words, because it's very true. So if you have results, show them. If you have traction, talk about it. If you have a screenshot or a wireframe or a product or whatever, show it. Oftentimes people will say after the fact, or you get into it during questions, you'll say, oh, well, like, when are you launching? And then they'll kind of say as an afterthought, oh, well, we launched and we signed up 1,000 subscribers. And why didn't you say that in the pitch? Why didn't you say, we launched on this day, we've had this much traction in this short amount of time, and our future projection looks like this based on this? It's like, I didn't think you care. Like, oh, I care because now you're not a talker. You've actually done stuff. You've actually had success already. That's impressive. If you have early results, share them. And sometimes people will say, well, we don't have anything. Like, we don't really have anything. I tell you, you probably have something. Whether it's something that you've overcome, a grant that you've been awarded, an idea that you've had, something that you've registered. If you've done things that are demonstrable, tell people about the things, because they don't know. And there's, you know, I hate to say it, but there's just so many talkers, right? You get people that pitch and they talk this great game, and at the end of it, you're thinking, what did they say? They were really good at pitching, but not so good at the actual business they're doing. I find it's like an inverse relationship. People that really are killing it in real life tend to struggle sometimes articulating it in a pitch, maybe because they kind of know where all the bodies are buried, I don't know, or they've kind of gone through the jungle, and people that literally have vaporware, have like a website and that's it, they're great. They stand on stage and they talk about their vision and it's amazing. It's like, okay, but you haven't done anything yet. Important to explain why you are the person to take this to the moon. I think this is, it's hard for people to do. People are very, especially Canadians, we're very allergic to kind of talking about how great we are. We like to be like, we're okay, we're just okay. But if I'm going to invest in you, or I'm going to work for you, or I even want to buy something from you, why are you? Why not some other guy doing the same thing? Because there's lots of people in this room that are doing something that exists, right? Because there's kind of nothing new under the sun. So why you guys for digital media? Why you for decluttering? In this, your kind of story, and you kind of alluded to it a little bit, is an interesting narrative, right? Well, I used to be an interior designer, but then kind of got disillusioned because this is how I see the world. That's why I would pick you over someone else. And then ask. I cannot tell you how many times people get on stage, you can see they're kind of nervous, they do their pitch, and like halfway through their last sentence, they're like 3/4 out off the stage. They don't ask, they don't make their ask, because they're nervous to make the ask. For the guys that used to sell, the ask is a hard thing. And people don't always realize that they're not asking. I ran a pretty big team for a while, and one of my guys, and he was so good. He showed up first, worked till the end of the day, like the last guy to leave, first guy to show up, conscientious, smart, articulate, horrible sales guy. Like, didn't close anything, like closed zero. And so I'm like, I don't get what's going on with this guy, because he goes to calls prepared, he's working hard, he's very pleasant to speak with, he does his homework, so he's doing all the things, and then I listen to his phone calls. I said, Rob, can I listen to your calls? Because I believe that you can be really great at this, and you got to be doing some little thing wrong, because you're doing the important stuff right. And I listened to this call. I listened to a bunch. One very long one, where he was like A+ selling, amazing. He was like walking this guy through all the stuff. And I'm like, I'm in my head, like, go Rob, like you're killing it. And then he got to the end of the call, and he basically said to this guy, well, thanks, have a nice weekend. And so I brought him in my office, and I'm like, okay, we're gonna listen to the call together. He's like, okay. So I play it, and he listens. And I'm telling him as we're going, this was really good, really smart, nicely played this way, nice redirect over here. And we get to the end of the call, and I said, so what didn't you do? And he's like, I don't know. Okay, we're gonna listen to it again. So we listened to it again, got to the end of the call, and I'm like, okay, what do you think? He's like, I don't know. I'm like, you didn't ask him for the sale. You explained the product, you told him the benefits, you articulated why it would matter to him personally, and you didn't ask him for the business. He's like, yes, I did. Okay, so we're gonna listen to it for a third time. And you stopped me when you asked him for the business. And he got right to the end, and he went, shit. I'm like, good news is I think you kind of do this all the time. So the solution's pretty easy. It's just ask for the business. And he's like, okay. Unbeknownst to him, I got one of my most senior salespeople. I'm like, Rob's getting on this call. It's at this time. When you hear him get on the phone with the guy, I want you to get off whatever call you're on. I want you to quietly stand behind him. And when he asks for the business, because he's never asked for a deal in his entire life, I want you to take his headset off, because I want the person to have the time to think and consider the ask. Because the second most frequent mistake sellers make is they ask for the business and they literally give the person no time to think. They wait 2 seconds, they assume the answer is going to be no, and then they start walking back the sale. They're like, it's okay if you can't commit right now, and like if you don't have money, and it's like, give the guy a minute to think. So you know. So anyways, my senior seller is behind this guy. He's like, so my proposal is, and he does the proposal, and then she yanked his headset off and she did this over his mouth. And he's like, trying to get his headset back on, gets it back on, and as he's getting it back on, the guy's like, I think that's really smart and a prudent way to proceed, so let's go. And so he says, okay. So he comes in my office. He goes, Anna, do you know Raina yanked my headset off? I said, yeah, I know. He goes, why? I said, I told her to. Why would you do that? I said, because I knew you were going to do a good job, but I didn't want you to fail because you're so nervous that the answer might be no. He's like, oh. I said, did you want to like jump right in right away? He's like, yes. She saved you from yourself. So now just know that when you ask for the business, you kind of have to go 10, 9, 8. Like, give the person a minute. Because if you put the shoe on the other foot and someone asks you for something, you'd like a hot minute to like just think about it for a second before you reply. But when you're selling or you're pitching, it's much harder to be patient like that. So those are kind of the main categories. So what I want you to do first is start thinking about those categories, and I can put them here too if you want. These are all the bad things. And I'll give you a little time to kind of just chicken scratch down a couple sentences for each one of these categories, and then we have some stuff to work with, and then we can go deeper. Does that make sense? Cool? And I'll wander around as you guys do some work. It's now 10 to 2, so just 10 minutes. No, like, don't solve world peace, don't boil the ocean, just first thing in your head, write it on the paper. Okay, we're back, and now you have something. You have the minimum viable pitch components and the elements. Like anyone want to share? Anyone want to do a little mini pitch? There's definite bonus points. If you don't want to, that's also fine. There's no one like chomping at the bit to share that. That's totally fine. Okay, so crib notes. What led you to this problem? Why is this a problem for other people? A demo or an overview, results to date, why you, name the ask, make the ask. So that's just a summary really of what we had before. So let's not get trapped in a snowstorm. Let's watch it in action. I'm going to show you a video from an entrepreneur named Jason Kalinakis. He's one of my favorites. There is a swear. I'm going to warn you, if you're offended, cover your ears. There needs to be an earmuff situation. But he's lots of fun, and he's been around in the Valley since the dawn of time and kind of knows everyone and has a definite idea on pitching. So I'm going to play you this little video, and we can watch him in action.
I get a lot of emails from folks, entrepreneurs. The best ones are short, to the point, and include some question and or the product. It's very, and you know, I'm an email guy, so the worst thing is, oh, can I get an hour or two of your time? It's like, well, that doesn't exist. You know, the hour or two does not exist for me to give just every random person an hour or two of time, and still be a great dad and run my companies and invest. So being succinct and to the point and saying, do you think that a social network for blank should exist in the world? Here's my mock-ups and designs. I will respond to those, and I'll answer. And then I get sucked into like a 3, 4, 5 email thread back and forth with people. So I think that's, and it really depends on the investor. Some people like decks and some people like projections. Like I never read decks, I never read projections. I just look at the product. I can tell literally in seconds if this product is going to be good or not, or if this entrepreneur is good or not, with a high degree of certainty. Because your clarity of thought on your product and your passion for it and the simplicity of it and the design of it, like that just all speaks very quickly. And you know, doing TechCrunch 50 and then launch and seeing hundreds of companies a year as an angel investor, like it's just very clear to know when somebody is onto something. And when the email is 3 or 4 pages long, it doesn't work. So when I send people emails about what I'm doing or about an investment I'm making that they should know about, it is incredibly short. I think that this company is important because they're working on this, and if they make it work, this could happen. And here's a screenshot, and it's pretty awesome. And that's it. So like when I get asked like from an investment, can you forward me to Elon Musk? It's usually like, let's not start with Elon Musk and Mark Cuban. Like, who do you realistically want as an investor? Let's not waste their time, unless there's some really compelling reason, like it's about car batteries or it's about, you know, NBA teams. But be super succinct. And entrepreneurs are terrible at that. They're terrible at being succinct. Like,
well, because there's such big things that they're living.
Right, you're in the thick of it. Like, you know, when a chef comes to your table, they're not like, so this was a cow at some point, and we cut it up, and then this is the steak, and then we put it on a grill, and there was salt, and a guy drove it here, and here's the map of how we got here. Right? They're just like, voila.
Some hipster restaurants do provide
and then
provenance.
Right, and then you just go like this, and you take a bite, and you go, oh, that's delicious, right? And when Travis showed me Uber for the first time, he took out his phone and said, check this out. And I was like, okay, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Right, like when Space Monkey, explained their idea to me, it was like, the peer-to-peer thing? Well, imagine if you had a 2 terabyte hard drive, and 1 terabyte was your stuff, but the other terabyte was everybody else's stuff, and it was all stored around a cloud, and there was no data center. And I was like, you don't have to pay for a data center? That would be like Dropbox getting their data center for free. That would change the entire dynamic. And they're like, right. And I was like, oh, I have this problem. Because I have video files and they can't ever sync. I can't sync 200 gig of video files to Dropbox reasonably, but I can't put it onto the hard drive and then have it encrypted and put into those places. Like, it would just make total sense. Now, will it work, Space Monkey work or not? We'll find out. But the team there was able to explain it very quickly and why it was important and why it was important right now. You have to be able to explain things in a sentence or two, and including the product. If you don't want to put yourself in the wrong bucket, when you talk about what you're going to do, you are damaging your credibility. So when we pivoted Mahalo to Inside, I didn't talk to the investors about what we were building. When it was ready, I said, I want to send you a test flight. And what we're doing is kind of exciting for this reason. That's it. Don't pre-sell. Don't tell them why it's important, like, before you've made it. Like, you just put yourself in the bucket of talkers, and everybody's a talker, and everybody's got ideas. That means nothing. What you want to do is have a gorgeously designed product, and you want to have it be simple and elegant and solve a problem. And when that happens, you see this as a journalist, you have that filter. It's like, okay, I can't write a story about you if you don't have a product.
Yeah.
And you get pitched on people who want you to do a story before they have a product. And you're like, well, that's not how it works.
Right.
And especially now, the benchmark is so high. I mean, not only are people, it used to be that people would invest if you wrote a business plan, and maybe they would invest if you did mock-ups. Now it's like, well, do you have traction? Not even a product. People expect you to not only have built the product, they're starting to now switch to, oh, you built the product? Come back to me when there's some level of data and traction. The benchmark gets higher and higher and higher and higher. And you're not, getting back to competition and, you know, being competitive in life and fighting it out, like, you are not, you know, an island as an entrepreneur. You're in competition with everybody else. Everything has leveled up. The kids coming out of Y Combinator, kids in air quotes, they understand, like, conversion funnels and metrics. I mean, they might be gaming it a little bit too and whatever, but they might be too good at it. Like, they're too good at presenting it. They're too good at making a hockey stick.
Yeah.
You know, like, yes, I could buy $1,000 of Facebook one week and then $2,000 of Facebook ads and $3,000, and it would make the curve go up too. Like, you don't get too much credit for that. So you have to sort of parse through that. But you are in competition with people making very refined products now.
Yeah.
And this is expectations by some people. They're delusional that people are going to take a meeting when you haven't built the product yet or you don't have a mock-up of it. But when somebody has a mock-up, I will look at it. Like, it doesn't take an entrepreneur, investors will click. Investors will look. So show them and let them click it. But don't ask them for the thing that they have the least amount of, time.
Right.
And you're trying to optimize to get their time when you should be trying to optimize to make a product that then makes them want to give up time.
Right. And don't say you'll be the this of that. Like
That's
the
always
Salesforce for cats. Like, that's not the way to be succinct.
Yeah, I mean, I think also,
Great
like,
business.
Dissing, that's another
not
big
the way.
no, is dissing really successful stuff. So, like, we're talking about the accelerators here a couple of years ago. Like, this, you know, pitch comes out of one of the accelerators, and it's like, we are Pinterest for this, and Pinterest is terrible because of these reasons. And I said, let me just stop you for a second. Who taught you how to pitch your idea like this? And they're like, the accelerator. And I was like, okay.
What accelerator was it?
I don't want to say. But anyway, it was a reoccurring theme. And I was like, this is terrible. Do not ever go into a meeting with an entrepreneur, with an investor, and tell them that one of the greatest unicorns to ever come out of the unicorn, you know, barn is ugly. It's a fucking unicorn. Like, you're like, that unicorn sucks. Nobody says unicorn sucks, right? Nobody ever said that. It's a fucking unicorn. Respect the unicorn and, like, go find your own, right? And that's a big sort of craziness, like...
I didn't know they lived in a barn.
Whatever, there's a big unicorn barn, and one comes out every year, you know? Like, if you're lucky enough to see the unicorn, like, consider yourself privileged. Don't be like, I shot the unicorn. Like, I'm gonna cut the unicorn's head off, like, and put it on my wall. Like, you're not unicorn hunting. Like, let the unicorn be free, go get your own. And that's always a terrible thing. But now, there could be parallels. So the Uberification of stuff is actually happening.
Right.
And metaphors do happen. Like, the feed was something that Facebook stole from Twitter, and Twitter got from, I don't know where, but, or, you know, Date came from Delicious, came from Slashdot, and Reddit came from there. So you
But
can
they
take
didn't pitch it as the this of that. I mean, that's
you can use the format and the design and evolve it. That's fine, and that's actually wise. It's wise to look at the formats that work and say, that works, users understand it, I'm going to leverage that work and create something different or better and level it up. Sure, it's familiar, but God, I mean, I saw somebody who was doing Pinterest of EDU the other week, and I was like, what were you trying to do when you started this? And she was like, well, I had this problem when I tried to solve for this, and I thought that this would be the way to do it, but I was, you know, and I was like, I was really interested in your original problem, but you didn't do this, like, base level divergent thinking of, like, and ideate on that idea and make something unique. Take everything you've done, throw it away.
Yeah.
Find a great designer UX person, pay them $3,000. Then find another one and pay them $3,000. And tell them your idea, and then let them come back with something that solves for your idea. And then iterate 3 or 4 cycles with them. And then you might come up with something wholly unique that doesn't look derivative, and it will cost you $6,000. Like, I put $3,000 on my credit cards for Silicon Valley Reporter and next 16-page photocopy. It could have sucked, but it didn't.
Yeah.
And it captured people's imaginations, and I got it, but I didn't anyway. you get the idea.
$6,000 is not, even in terms of not high growth entrepreneurship, like opening a restaurant would be more than $6,000.
Opening a restaurant would be $6 million in this town. It's a lot of money. I mean, hundreds of thousands of dollars, right? It's small. You can do so much with such a small amount.
Right.
Okay, what do you guys think of Jason? He's fun, right? He's fun because he's kind of true. So he took delivery of 2 of the very first Teslas. He's kind of a big deal. I'm going to pause there for a minute. Let me turn myself. Oh, it's still on. Pause there for a minute. Questions, concerns, things that have come up. I'm kind of talking at you a lot with a lot of information. How's it sitting? Yeah.
How would you say a lot of the steps you talked about before overlap with creating a business plan?
They should overlap. You should be able to take from your business plan the components to put in your pitch.
So there's a lot of direct overlap in terms of the structures. I mean, obviously you need to talk about problem solutions and your own, positioning.
Sure.
But in terms of structuring, would you say it's the same?
It could be. I think the information, at least the base information, should be consistent for sure. Like what you're putting in your business plan is the thing that you're doing, and some version of the thing you're doing is the right way to pitch it. In terms of order of operations, might be different. But I think the business plan is probably a really good place to start from, to start pulling some of those ideas out. Because we're going to walk through a lot of this today, and I expect that, between now and next week, you have to tinker with this stuff a little bit. So I'm going to give you a bunch of tools, and then you have to tinker, because the best pitches are really unique to the people delivering them. So some people are amazing speakers. Some people can explain a difficult concept really easily. Some people have a great personal story. So what makes your pitch great might be something very different than what makes your pitch great. So trying to figure out what that thing is the trick. But business plans should have 80, if not 95% of everything that you're going to put into that pitch. Mm-hmm. Sorry. I'll pass it. It's okay. That's okay.
I feel like I can talk loud enough. Kind of like you. Can you maybe speak to when I'm using a pitch, and how do I pitch in conversation versus in a competition? And because I can easily write a tiny little mini essay that I can get up in a competition and say, but that's not really how I'm making sales or interacting with my customers. What does that pitch sound like versus everything that we're going through today? Because it's not like I'm meeting somebody and being like, "Hi, hello, okay, so this is my business and this is my product. So how do I take what we're learning today to push into real life?"
I think the trick is there should be some consistency, although you're right, the delivery is a little different, because it's one thing to stand on stage, have 60 seconds with a row full of judges. It's another thing to be with a client or potential client where, maybe you have a little more time. I always like to start with, if you can do a 60-second pitch, you should be able to beef it up enough that you can make it much, much longer, and tweak it enough. In a perfect world, you get so good at the 60-second pitch that if at any time, for any reason, someone said pitch, you could just be and go into that mode. When you really own it at that level, then it's easy to tinker with it and to change it a little bit depending on the audience. And that's what we'll talk about next. Once you know what you want to say, then the trick is how you want to say it. And depending on who you're pitching, you might pitch it a little differently. If you're pitching to a client versus an investor versus an employee versus a, but the message should be pretty consistent, but maybe the way is a little different or the length is a little different. This is the hardest. Doing a succinct pitch is the hardest thing to do. It's easy-ish to do a long in the tooth one, but when you only have 60 seconds, that time box makes it really hard, because you just don't have extra time to explain something, so it forces you to be really succinct. So yeah, I think once you get that thread and once you work it and refine it so it's super comfortable and it works, then don't mess with, tinker with it, but don't overhaul it. And people find if you do this work, it's so freeing in the future because you've done the homework. You don't have to start again. Like I see some startups that I work with, and like they start with a blank page every time they pitch. I'm like, oh my God, you're gonna die. You're gonna die of exhaustion if you start with a blank page every single time. You should have some version of something that's maybe 75% done, and maybe you tweak the front end and the back end, or maybe you add an example or make it a little longer, a little shorter, but please don't start with a blank page. Like that's the worst. Other questions, concerns? Okay. So those are the minimum viable component parts. So you all have kind of chicken scratches and some version of that short pitch. But does anyone care about the words that you wrote? Is there a hook? Is there like a deep-seated thing that's going to make me sit up in my chair and take notice? The story is the harder part. And the story, these rules, you really do have to explain what you do, why you're doing it, who you are, and the problem you're solving, no matter what, because that's kind of the minimum. But once you kind of incorporate all that, then we get to, why do I care? Do I care about the thing that you're doing? So improve, let's take it up a notch. The story is the spark, right? The story is the reason that you remember something. You think of things in class where there's stats or numbers, very difficult to remember those. Much easier to remember them if someone attaches a story to the number. You remember the story, and you might, by association, remember the stat, the number. But the story is the thing that connects people. It makes us human. And people sometimes think, well, this is a pitch. It's very important. So, I shouldn't involve a story because this is too important for a story. It's the very reason that you should think about what that narrative thread is. So one strategy, acts of defiance and humor. And I'll tell you a little story. So many years ago, we went to Somers, New York, to pitch IBM executives. And it was the most scary pitch that you could ever be at. We pulled up to Somers, their iconic 1970s campus, went into this very fancy room with the boardroom table, the length of which I'd never seen before, all in one piece, all marble, 25 very senior executives lined up like a firing squad. We came in to pitch them, and what we were pitching them was a mobile app of a piece of software that they had written. And they all kind of stood there, and we're pitching, and it's like I'm sitting up there going, like, we have none of these guys. Like, we are so far in left field, and I'm not entirely sure why they're not getting this, but we are doing a horrible job. Like, this is not landing with any of them, which just by sheer numbers was shocking because there were so many of them. I thought, someone's got to get this, literally. So I stopped, because in that moment, you can keep going. And I think a lot of people's gut is like, well, I'll just keep going and hope to God this ends soon because it's tortuously horrible. But I was like, I got nothing to lose, right? I've flown all the way here with my team. We're doing this thing. It's not landing. So I said, act of defiance and humor. So can we agree? I was trying to re-level set because I felt like we were way off in the ether and they were kind of here on Earth. Can we agree that collaboration extends beyond the blue cable? Because at that time, wireless wasn't really a big deal, and everyone was used to working attached to their blue network cable. And the room kind of went, well, maybe. It's like, wowza. Okay, so you guys don't actually believe that mobility is going to be a disruptive technology. You think it's like a trinket. They're like, yes. Like, okay, I get it. Like, understanding where the room is actually starting from was really useful. Because I'm sitting here thinking, well, of course everyone gets this. Like, how could you not get this? They did not get it. They did not understand the category. They did not understand the technology. It took us a couple more pitches to explain it in a way that they could understand. We were trying to pitch them on, this is the best thing ever and this is the future. They didn't share that vision of the future. The reason we got the deal was not based on our first pitch that was actually a better pitch, but it did not resonate with the people we were pitching to because they didn't really care. They were just a bunch of executives who wanted to make millions of dollars. And we were up there, we were like kids, like, why are they here? Who let these kids in? And, talking about things to them that seemed like trifles. So we went back and we were like, here is a way for you to get people to test your very complicated enterprise services on a mobile phone, risk-free. If the people like it here, they're going to spend $40 million there. They were like, we love it. Because it mattered to them, right? It was a crappier pitch, you know, if you put the two pitches side by side, but it worked. And so at the end of the day, the pitch that's the best pitch is the pitch that works. And if you can throw in an act of defiance and humor, it can be really useful. And people are nervous to do this. Don't be so nervous to do this. Because what you're really trying to do is cross that chasm. I feel like oftentimes, especially entrepreneurs, get into this mode of, I need to beat you over the head with the 4 million reasons why this is a good idea scientifically, from a market perspective, from a demographic perspective. And it's this argument based on facts. Think of yourself when you've bought something that's not like a consumable, like groceries or something you have to buy. When you decide to buy something that you have discretion over buying, why do you buy it? Because you want it. It's a very, it's an emotional reason that makes you want to buy it, and then you justify your emotional reason with some facts, but you don't start with facts. You start with, I want the thing, and then let me figure out how I justify in my own mind that I'm actually going to buy it. Yeah.
So to go back to that one moment where you figured out that nobody had understood what you were talking about, the one thing that kind of got you out of that hot water was effective questioning. So during your pitch, I mean, for somebody who has a product, it's easy to just talk about your product and having the features, benefits, where it may fit within your company, things like that. But for somebody who's providing a service, like myself or anybody who here is providing a service, would you say that it's more effective to ask questions at the start of your pitch before actually going into it so that you can tailor it specifically to that client?
I think it's never a bad idea. Here's my bias as a buyer. When you call me up and I go, hi, it's Anna speaking, and you're like, hi, I'm Brad from XYZ company.
Immediately, sales guard goes up. And then,
I'm like, okay, fine.
Yeah.
No, I'm like, okay, fine. But then it's like, I want to know everything about your business. Jason Kalinakis talked about it. It's like, look, A, I have no time. B, I don't know you from a hole in the ground. So I do not have time built into my day to educate you about my business. So I don't disagree with where you're going, though. Where it's actually worked better for me is to do some research. People are nervous to do it without talking to the prospective client because they think they might get it wrong. I would say to you, you're more likely to annoy your prospect by having them do your homework for you than you are in doing the research, making an assumption, because the calls that I love are, you know, I know a little bit about this, your business, and I know a little bit about your role. I think that XYZ, do you agree? Because then I go either yes or no. And I go, no, because you don't understand XYZ, which you would never have known to ask me that question probably because it's like way in the weeds. And I don't shut you out. Because when it's like, let's do a 30-minute discovery call, I'll tell you 100% of the time, delete.
Yeah.
It's like, hi, I have this great new technology and I just need 30 minutes of your time to understand your business.
See, that never works.
Delete.
Yeah.
Like
Like
I
when
don't
I
have
was-
30 minutes to educate you.
It's true, yeah. Like even when I was working in like tech comedies, it was more like, hey, how's it going? My name's Jake. I know this, this, and this about you. I understand that this is a problem in your industry. Are you experiencing that currently? Yes, you are. Great. This is our solution. These are results. Go talk to this guy around the corner from you using it.
Yes. But a service, it's almost, oftentimes what you're competing against is inertia. Or like good enough. Or my cousin's brother. Or like, you know, oh, I know someone who can do this for free. Like the dreaded thing when you're a service provider, right? Oh, my friend's really good at interior design. Did she go to school? No. Did she charge anything? No. You're like, well, gee, she's awesome. Thanks for like literally yanking the rug out from under my feet. So inertia is a big one. Like it's good, it's fine. Like the thing I have is not great, but it's fine. Or I got a friend. Or, you know, I just don't, like help me understand why if I paid you X, I'd get Y back. Because there's a bit of a leap of faith too in a service, right? Like a physical, tangible product is easier for people. It's harder when it's an intangible service. But again, painting that picture, I sold IT research and managed a big, so it's this intangible thing that you really do need to pick through. Do you have this problem because we have this thing that will help you do that? So it is trickier, there's no doubt. Others? I'm just checking the time. I saw the okay, half an hour. Okay. Create focus, right? It's your story. You can tell your story of your business any way you want. You can add any detail you want. You can leave out any detail you want. You are the architect of how you decide to tell your story, so be focused. The other thing that entrepreneurs do is they get really excited and then they're all off madly in all directions, right? They're like, and I do this, and maybe next year I'll do that. And as a listener or as a pitchee, I'm like, that's a lot. Like, that's a word salad of lots of words, and I can't understand how they all fit together because I'm not in your brain. So be really focused. Think about, they always teach you this, for those of you that have been in the PR course, what's the message that you want to leave the person that is interviewing you, and then say it again and again and again and again. So if you think of your pitch, if you can think of, if the person didn't remember anything else that you said, what is the one thing that's critical for them to know? And then focus on that and make all roads lead back to that point. It's tough. And the reason that people are not focused is this is their baby, and they love their baby 18 ways from Sunday, and they want to tell you all the 18 ways. I'm never going to love your baby as much as you love your baby. So just tell me the thing that you think I should care about that matters. Intrigue. You talked about a hook. Get a hook. And you can get a hook a whole bunch of different ways. I've seen people open pitches with great hooks. Imagine a world that, whatever. And you go, oh, okay, now I'm imagining with you. I've seen it be really effective at the end, very end of the pitch. And they kind of drop this bomb and you go, okay. I've seen this whole thing in a different way. I've seen people do hooks right midstream of their presentations. They do a bit of a preamble and they set the stage, and kind of midway through, there's a hook, or they kind of twist the narrative. So just think about what's the thing that you have that you think could be a hook, and then you got to play around with where it works the best in your pitch, but don't forget to create a little intrigue. Tension's a great one. So talking about the world without your product, or talking about the alternative, or kind of raising to the surface this idea, a little bit of fear, uncertainty, and doubt can motivate people to listen and pay attention. So don't be nervous about tension. I mean, my boss afterwards, when we came back from Somers, said, you asked them about a blue cable? Oh my God, that could have gone horribly wrong. I'm like, yeah, I could have, but it was already kind of not going well. So I just did the math and went, I don't have that much to lose. It may blow up in my face, but it didn't. So don't be too nervous. I think people err on the side of not ruffling any feathers, not creating any tension, and sometimes the result is just it's boring, right? The worst thing you could be is boring, not memorable. It's almost better for someone to go, I actively hate your idea because I'm really invested and passionate about how you're wrong, as opposed to, meh. Good luck. Meh, I don't care. That's the death. So back to create a story. Push the envelope and create tension. Most data-driven decisions are really just justifications after the fact. I've seen this over and over and over again in business. People will tell you, and sometimes they have all their homework, how much work they've done to validate this, but when you actually ask them, why did you pick this over this? They'll say something like, I like the guy. Or I just really thought, and you can really feel that it was just a gut feeling they had. And intuition is important, and gut feelings are really important. Don't let me try to paint that with a bad brush. It's just know that that's generally how people make really important decisions. Okay, part 3. You ready? Magic secret sauce. So I'm gonna show you a little video, another little video, that explains this secret sauce.
What we have to do to make these government interlopers happy, they tell us to make the same.
So, wow, okay, I don't know what that video was, but it was whatever the next video after Mad Men was. What was so different about what Pete said versus what Don said?
Don's the second here.
Yeah, that's true.
So Don reframed the argument. It's not about, is it poisonous or whatever. It's toasted.
Right. He just introduced this like whole different way, because no one wants to promote smoking. Mad Men is from the 50s and 60s, but at that time they all had this conundrum: how do you market a product when you're not really allowed to market it? And you can always find a door or a window. Sometimes the solution to the problem is a little different. And Don kind of demonstrated a whole bunch of the things that I talked about, which is why I like to show that clip. He kind of flipped it on its head, created tension, told a story, kind of went into history, and kind of made the pitch actually work. Really unconventional, because the thing that Pete did was kind of what a lot of people would do. Like, it's easy to kind of watch this show and go, oh, Pete's like, junior person kind of screwing up. But I think what he was thinking of doing and the way he was trying to articulate the pitch is probably kind of what everyone was thinking at that time. It was by taking a little bit of a risk that I think the Lucky Strike executives kind of went, okay, now we can see a road, we can see a pathway. Other questions, concerns? I want to give you a couple minutes, because it's now 20 to 3. So just 5 minutes. Write down some of the things that you think that you might be able to incorporate into your pitch to level it up. Just a brainstorm. Just put words on a page. You don't have to line it up where they're going to fit. But while it's fresh, just want to give you a couple minutes. How's it going, guys? Good? Good. Laughing's good. Giggling's good. Some people are still furiously writing, which is awesome. Give you a couple more minutes. Yeah.
Can I say all job is here because almost all job is 95%, 96.
Yeah.
What is that number?
usually you'd say something like that in your pitch. And if it's like a presentation or something written, you can have an appendix that says, you know, complete equals 95% includes these marketplaces or whatever. I think that's fair, especially when you're that close to.
Yes, pretty close.
Yeah. Okay, I think all the pens are down. So how'd that feel? Anyone? Comfortable? Weird? Okay, nodding heads. Felt okay? Okay, good. Would there be things that you would think of putting in your pitch? Oh, yeah. Okay, good. Okay, so, you know, got the creative juices flowing and can kind of see a path to include. Other people? Yeah.
For ours was kind of weird though, because I don't know, I found like a strong or like emotional personal story that connected me to my business, and kind of debating whether or not it's like putting it in or not isn't important, is it effective? I don't know, it was weird.
Well, I mean, I think the step one is practicing this stuff, right? The best advice I can give you before next week, if you're in it to win it and you really want to win, is film yourself. I did a course many, many years ago on giving presentations at Schulich in downtown Toronto. And the lady who was giving the course was awesome. And she said, I'm going to film everyone. And I, as you know now, because I've been talking at you for 2 hours, like, move my hands, I'm pretty like expressive speaker. And this was like 20 years ago. And I knew this about myself, that I was a very expressive speaker. And I thought, oh, it's going to look so like unprofessional. So when I knew I was about to be filmed, I stood at the podium and I was like, don't move your hands. Like, don't be all like, just do your thing. And I did my thing and it was bad. Like, it was really bad. And the instructor said to me, you're so good. And then you got behind the podium and you were just so bad. What happened? It was like, oh, I just didn't want to be all flaily and weird. And I was very self-conscious. And I'm not nervous. I was nervous about watching myself, if that makes any sense. And she said, okay, so go to it was in this hotel, right? Go to the hotel room and watch yourself. And I watched myself, and like, trust me, when she said I was horrible, she was being kind. It was bad. And so I had to do it again, being filmed, and I thought, to hell with it. Like, I'm just gonna do the thing that I do, and like, the chips will fall where they may, and then I'll watch it, and if it's horrible, maybe I can course correct, but like, trying to not be me is not working at all. And so I did it my way and went to the room. And yeah, I totally, like, for the first couple minutes, I'm like, man, oh man, like, do I ever just speak or am I always in motion? But then the more I watched it, I was like, okay, it is me. Like, love it or hate it, it's me. And it kind of works for me. So film yourself, because you may think you sound a certain way, you may think you look a certain way. The best way is to just film yourself and try it out on people. So try the story out on people and see what the reaction is, right? Maybe it's a short version of the story. Maybe that's like the narrative frame that you throw your pitch into. Or maybe you test it out and people kind of go, like it's really important to you, but it doesn't resonate as deeply with me. I don't know, but test it out. And test it out on people that don't know you. So spend a lot of time at Communitech in that, right? Like, oh my goodness, Anna. There's all these people in unpaid pilots. We have so much groundswell excitement for our company. Like, who is writing you a check? Well, nobody, because they're just friends. But they're beta testing, and it's good. Beta testing is important. Using your friends is critical. Get in your car, drive to Toronto, go pitch to someone who does not know you, and see what they say. Because your friends, of course, are not going to be total jerks. Even if you're horrible, they're going to be like, it was okay. Because they don't want to hurt your feelings. But when you pitch to someone that doesn't know you from a hole in the ground, they'll usually tell you the truth. They'll be like, yeah, no, thanks. And it's hard to hear. And the reason why a lot of those companies were not leaving and testing it out on other people was it was comfortable to be in the cocoon of friends that everyone was trying to, do this amazing thing and support each other. But you do need to leave the nest and see if it works in the real world and see if someone that has money is willing to pay you for your idea. Because there's lots of people that will tell you that the idea is great and you're fabulous, but when it comes to like writing you a check, they'll lose their pen. And if you got a lot of less pens in your world, then you got to look inward, because either what you're doing, how you're doing it, why you're doing it, not working. So money talks. I always like to kind of say that, like, see if you can get someone, even for a small amount of money. Like if your product is normally worth $100, but you can get someone to trial something with you for $10. Okay, if they had to give you money, that's much better than I'll do this favor for you. Because even a small amount of money. We do pay trials at IBM. We go, you want to do a proof of concept? No problem. It's $38,000. They're like, but it's proof of concept. I'm like, right, I'm going to have to get my engineers and this and that, and we're going to have to set it up, and I'm going to need tech support, all of which was a damn lie. Like, I could have given it to them for free all day long. We had all the funding to give it away for free. It was no problem. Lots of my colleagues gave it away for free. And then you know what they do? They spend a year chasing people. Hey, how'd you think that trial went? And guess what? None of the people had any skin in the game. So they'd go, it was okay. It's the same as meh. It was okay. Do you want to buy it? Probably not. Why not? So it's useless to you as feedback. It's a huge time suck. And you get nothing for it at the end of the day. You don't get a sale and you don't even get feedback. You just get meh. So I'd be like, yeah, you know, it's worth $38,000. It was just a random number. I just made the number up. And they go, well, some people go, well, I don't have the budget for that. Talking to like Honda Canada, you don't have $38,000? No, you don't want to do the thing I'm selling, which is very different. And that's okay. But if you say you don't have the money, then I'm hearing what you're saying and you're actually not interested. So you're doing this to me in the meeting, but you have no intention of buying this. People that would go, well, we'll find the 38 grand. And it's important, and we're going to get some of our own people, and we're going to help you. It's like, okay, this is a live one. They're actually interested, and those would actually convert into sales. So test people too. Like, you know, what's the expression? Trust but validate. Trust people, think the best of people. I'm an optimist, but also validate. When you go up to do your pitch, before the pitch, aim to be excellent. Video yourself. Trial balloon it. Talk to people in your life that are not, you know, your mom, your grandma, and your auntie who are going to be kind to you. Raise the expectation of yourself and relax. This is hard. Pitching a personal company is one of the hardest things you can do. The very first year Tech Alliance did this 60-second pitch, David Cicerelli, who's the CEO of Voices, great guy, amazing speaker, very accomplished. He was part of the selection committee, and in an attempt to make the entrepreneurs feel okay, he said he was going to start and pitch his business first. Established business with a marketing department, all the things, got up on stage, choked. Just looked at I don't know what happened to him, but we've all had the moment. He just happened to have it right at that moment, which he was very gracious about it. And all the students in the audience kind of went, oh, geez, man. Like, if he's choking, what am I going to do? But the real answer is, it's just hard. And people do choke, but everyone has your back. When that happened, everyone in the audience started clapping. Like, we've all been there. We've all felt that. We've all had some crazy thing happen to us. So, like, we got you. We're not going to go like, oh, he sucks. It's like, no, man, it could happen to me too. So it's going to be a warm room. People want you to succeed. People want to hear what you have to say. So just take a deep breath and relax. At least try to relax. And stop to breathe. So stand up on stage, take a moment, collect yourself, do your thing, which is going to be excellent because you're going to create this fabulous story with a hook and the whole 9 yards. When you're done, stop. Exhale. Breathe. Count to 5. Don't leave the stage. Don't be that guy that's like, the minute your pitch is done mid-sentence, you're like halfway off the stage. It just sends the wrong signal. It sends a signal even if, and I've watched pitches where the person was on it, amazing pitch, super like, you know, well done, articulate, and then the last second they're like, okay, bye. And they're running off the stage. It like undoes all the good, positive things they did right up until that point. So even if it wasn't exactly the way you wanted it to go, finish what you're doing, stop, count to 5, say thank you very much. Because it will make even a mediocre pitch feel so much more powerful. But this is a hard one because I think people kind of ratchet themselves up and go, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, I gotta do it. And then they do it, and then the minute it's done, it's like, I gotta go, bye. Don't fall into that trap. Yes?
At the competition, what are they, how are they judging it? Is it the best business
I will turn it over to my colleagues at Fanshawe.
So at the competition, we're going to be looking for your business in terms of your actual pitch. So how well you do with your presentation, your articulation, how well you speak. We're also looking at your product as part of it, but it's really a split between the two of them, and then we mark you out at 20.
Other questions, logistical questions about the competition? Okay. So take the good, create a story, avoid the bad, and then just practice. The difference between people that are really great at pitching and people that are horrible, the people that are good have practiced a lot, and they were also not great at one point. You know, you talk to people, especially people who maybe you hold on a pedestal, and get them to show you their very first pitch, and they'll like go, it's bad. But you got to start somewhere, right? So, you know, try to take as much of the good as you can and create the story, and then just practice, 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 practice. The more you practice, the more people you practice on, the more opportunities you have to pitch, the better you will get at it. So don't be nervous to do it. Start with friendlies and then keep going like wider and wider until you're talking to strangers. And if you can get a stranger in 60 seconds to understand what you do, why you do it, and why it matters, that's a rare skill. It's a really hard one to do well. And you're awesome. So own it. Don't forget it, because you know it's hard for people to create something. It's hard for people to speak publicly. And you guys are doing all those things, right? You're trying to build something that's never been done, create something that maybe doesn't exist, and then get on stage in front of a bunch of strangers and talk about that. That is like the apex of difficult. But you're here and you're passionate, so I already know that you're awesome, so just own it. So with that, I shall bid you adieu unless there's other questions to wrap up, and wish you good luck as you prepare for next week. Well, it's been my absolute, oh, sorry, I thought I saw a hand. It's been my absolute pleasure. Thank you guys, and good luck next week.
Thank you so much, Anna. That was great. Can we give her another round of applause? Okay, wonderful. So we hope that you've enjoyed today's workshop detailing how to pitch. Anna mentioned multiple times that we are having a competition that goes after this. So if you have not already signed up for our pitch competition, it will be taking place on March 13th from 3 to 5 p.m. right here. We'll have a stage. We'll be in this room similarly. We'll have some judges judging your pitch competitions. And I'm sorry, it's out of 30. I lied to you, not 20. If you have not yet signed up, but today you were very inspired to do so, our lovely team at the back here has some iPads that you can register on, or you can follow us on our social media where you'll see access to register for that. I just want to take a couple minutes of your time and tell you about a couple other things that Leap Junction has going on. So in addition to that pitch workshop, which is on March 13th, we have our networking event, which is taking place on March 19th. That's Stone Soup, and that's happening from 3 to 6:30 p.m. You can also sign up for that on our social media. We have an Eventbrite page. And this week is the last week for applications for our Leap In Summer Incubator. So if you feel like your business is at the stage where you could do with some intense mentoring and incubation, we have a 10-week incubation program that we run through May and June. And you can come, it's part-time, and you can earn $5,000 for your business. So we would really love to see your applications. Interviews will be taking place next week. So please get those applications in. It closes on Friday. Do you guys have any questions for Anna or the team here? Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming. We've really appreciated having you. And see the team at the back if you have any questions or want to register for any upcoming events. Thank you.